Disturbing new details just revealed about the accused New York City terrorist.
Saipov admitted to carrying out the attack, saying he wanted to kill as many people as possible and was proud of what he'd done.
He entered the United States in 2010 under the diversity visa program.
Diversity lottery sounds nice. It's not nice. It's not good.
We all want a piece of this guy right now. Everybody's angry. This thing that separates us from the terrorists is that we have the rule of law here.
Let's talk about this diversity lottery situation. This is a big fraud.
Send him to Gitmo. I would certainly consider that.
The manhunt intensifying right now for a man who walked into a crowded Walmart and just started shooting.
The president tweeted late tonight saying that tomorrow he will officially name the new head of the Fed.
Today is the day that we will finally see President Trump's historic tax plan.
Here's a ground ball right side, could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
They are happy. Yeah, it's great to win, but you always feel bad for the fans. You got a capacity crowd there hoping the other team did just that, win. So it's like, okay, we'll go inside now.
Yeah, but I bet a lot of people traveled from Houston to go to that final game.
But then you got to get tickets, too.
That's
you get
true.
there.
I bet they're really expensive.
Yeah, and you know what else? When you're playing at the opposing stadium, that makes it even harder.
It does. It does. Congratulations to the Astros.
Absolutely.
And that's the first time they've won. How many times have the Dodgers won? Does anyone know that?
Yeah,
they've won before.
50 years ago,
Joel, you know? They have won before.
They have not won since 1988. Tommy Lasorda was the manager then, and he was in attendance last night, and he was unable to see that another title.
Do you think he secretively liked the fact that they lost because he wants to be the last one?
I don't think you understand. He actually physiologically bleeds Dodger blue, so he does not want the Dodgers to lose.
Right. Look, the Dodgers have won 6 times, and now the Houston Astros have won once. Congratulations.
6 times.
Great
Wow.
series.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we've got a Fox News alert for you on this Thursday. Disturbing new details just released about the accused New York City terrorist.
Investigators say he was plotting for an attack. He was doing this for a year.
Julie Banderas is live down at the scene in Lower Manhattan with some new information. Hey, Julie.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it actually took just 24 hours for investigators to gather enough overwhelming evidence to support the charges against this suspect, and we've got sketches of him. He appeared in court last night, in shackles, in his wheelchair. His name I will not utter on air, not to give him the notoriety he seeks for his cowardly act of suspected terrorism. He showed no remorse when the charges were read, including 1 count of violence and destruction of a motor vehicle causing death, which carries the death penalty. We've also learned chilling new details of just how he plotted this attack for weeks after being radicalized online, even making dry runs to the city. He wanted to have an ISIS flag, according to authorities, on his truck during the attack, and an ISIS flag in his hospital room. And as if that was not enough, 2 years ago, he was actually interviewed by the FBI about terror ties in 2015, but it turns out a case was never actually opened up against him after being listed as what is called a point of contact for 2 men who were actually listed in a Department of Homeland Security counterterrorism database after later overstaying their tourist visas. Meantime, we've also got new amateur video to show you, and in it you can see the 29-year-old suspect aimlessly running around shortly after NYPD police officer and hero cop Ryan Nash stopped him in his tracks, shooting him in the leg. Listen.
Although I feel that we were just doing our job, like thousands of officers do every day, I understand the importance of yesterday's events and the role we played, and I'm grateful for the recognition we have received.
Nash, in fact, did fire off 9 rounds, shooting the suspect once in the left thigh. He is due back in court on November 15th. Back to you.
All right, Julie, thank you very much. And of course, yesterday during the 6 o'clock hour, we saw the U.S. attorney talk about the charges. He was charged with material support to a terrorist group. And this is the one that could actually wind up getting him the death penalty, which is rare in New York. 1 count of violence and destruction of motor vehicle causing death. That does carry the death penalty.
Well, under federal law, he can be put to death. Under New York state law, he cannot, because we do not have the death penalty in the state. And the president agrees. The president tweeted, New York City terrorist was happy as he asked to hang ISIS flag in his hospital room. He killed 8 people, badly injured 12, should get death penalty.
Yeah, what incentive does he have to tell the truth and nothing but the truth when he's complaining about his wounds might hurt? He gets a wheelchair. And by the way, he gets a Russian interpreter. He's been here since 2010. He needs a Russian interpreter.
And he's an Uber driver.
Right, and he drives an Uber and a Lyft. Can you imagine? You got to wonder oftentimes who you get into the car with. Now you know. He passed the background check. And what the FBI did and what they weren't able to obtain again in 2015, and now we end up in 2017 with an attack. Remember, the Tsarnaev brothers, the FBI talked to them a couple of times, unable to find out if they were definitely terrorists. Turns out, man, were they ever terrorists? The FBI should say what kind of latitude they need in order to go with their gut, which many times says there's something with this guy,
well, Brian,
but I can't stay within the law and arrest this guy.
What the judge said was one of the things was, you know, the federal government had all the stuff. We now know a lot of the details.
After he got arrested.
We know afterwards, but the NSA collects all the data. They've got everybody's emails, got everybody's
But did they
phones.
have it in 2015 when they talked to him initially?
Yes,
That's
Steve
the
was saying
thing.
as soon as you hit send on your messages,
It goes
then
right
it goes
into
into
the
the
NSA.
database, and there are certain words they look for that are flags, red lights. And
Yeah.
apparently this guy had like 90 videos. He had thousands of
4,000 images.
4,000 images on his phone. I mean,
Yeah, and the president of the United States was asked yesterday, okay, what about derailing things and just sending him to Gitmo? Would you consider that? Listen to the president.
Mr. President, do you want the assailant from New York sent to Gitmo? Do you, Mr. President?
I would certainly consider that, yes.
Are you considering that now, sir?
I would certainly consider that.
Are you?
Send him to Gitmo. I would certainly consider that, yes.
So President says that in the afternoon, but no one told the Southern District of New York. And the Attorney General never stops him. So they Mirandize the guy, and now he's through the regular, he's got a public defender, and now he's through the system. He's not declared an enemy combatant. They don't get a chance to do with him what George Bush did when he took an enemy combatant, put him in South Carolina into the breaks, and they questioned him for 30 days.
Right.
They don't do what they did with the Tsarnaev brothers, and the Fed stepped in and questioned him to make sure there wasn't another plot. How do you know there's no other plot and there's no other people?
Well, here's the thing. As a judge was just with us, this guy, through this visa diversity program, wound up with a green card. He is whether you like it or not, he's a legal U.S. resident, which entitles him to due process and the same constitutional rights, for the most part, that you and I have. Ultimately, you know what? This guy's legacy could be that he caused the federal government to get rid of that diversity visa program that we told you about yesterday. Turns out this guy, when he won the lottery, 5,000 people from his country of Uzbekistan were allowed in that particular year. The president of the United States yesterday said that that guy, the terrorist, then, through chain migration, was able to bring in 23 other family members. So imagine 5,000 people from your country, and everybody gets to bring in 20-some people.
So what they
That's
probably do is dozens of them come together and they say, we're all going to apply, and whoever gets in, you're bringing all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
His legacy will be the green card program protects you from actually going through the enemy combatant process. Here's the president talking about getting rid of the program. He says he's moving right away.
I am today starting the process of terminating the diversity lottery program. I'm going to ask Congress to immediately initiate work to get rid of this program. Diversity and diversity lottery. Diversity lottery sounds nice. It's not nice. We're so politically correct that we're afraid to do anything. And that's not only our country, that's other countries too that are having very similar problems. And we have to get tough, we have to get smart, we have to do what's right to protect our citizens. We will never waver in the defense of our beloved country, ever. And we'll never, ever forget the beautiful lives that have been taken from us.
And a New Yorker, a New Jersey guy, and the rest were from Argentina. The others are struggling for their lives in many cases in hospitals. The president knows the difference between a terrorist and a common criminal. This guy's a soldier of the caliphate. He's got to tell his attorney general what to do because, sadly, we're going to be attacked again. And this guy cannot be treated like a criminal. He's got to be. He says he's a soldier of the caliphate. We should treat him like that.
Rush Limbaugh sounded off about this, the diversity visa program. Listen to this fabulous analogy.
There should be universal agreement to end any policy that ends up becoming a vehicle for terror. It'd be like discovering an ingredient in a product linked to cancer. You eliminate it, you fix it, but you certainly don't ignore it. People should be vetted as vigorously as what we consume is vetted. If our government was as concerned about importing terrorists as it is about Americans consuming carcinogens, we would all be a lot safer. But all of this is another reason why Donald Trump was elected. Because majorities of people are fed up with what appears on the surface to be the dumbest and stupidest policies a country could have if its intent is to thrive and prosper.
And this attorney general was supposed to end that, and he hasn't. He's done nothing.
Well, the president of the United States called yesterday for Congress to end it. And earlier in the day, the president referring to the fact that Chuck Schumer, when he was a congressman, had this as a portion of the 1990 Immigration Act, referred to it as a Chuck Schumer beauty.
What do you think? Do you think Congress will end the program and listen to the president? Send us your emails. In the meantime, Jillian has some headlines.
Tom Cotton coming up later. He actually sponsored a bill to get rid of it before this happened. Hey, Jillian.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Let's begin with a Fox News alert right now because we are following some breaking news. A manhunt is intensifying for a man who opened fire inside a Walmart, killing 3 people and driving away. Just look at that scene. This is the man police say walked into the store near Denver, Colorado, and randomly fired near the cash register. 2 men killed instantly, a woman later dying at the hospital. Police say the suspect calmly walked out of the store and drove away in a red Mitsubishi hatchback. Today, President Trump's former campaign aides accused of conspiring against the United States set to appear in court. Paul Manafort and Richard Gates already pleading not guilty to charges stemming from conspiracy, money laundering, and failing to register as a foreign agent. The indictments do not mention President Trump or alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 election. The Houston Astros are the 2017 World Series champions. As you can imagine, going crazy watching on the Jumbotron at Minute Maid Park. Astros shortstop Carlos Correa celebrated by proposing to his girlfriend. She said yes. It's such a night to remember for all of them.
Now, those thousands of fans at the other stadium where nobody was playing.
Right.
Did they have to pay to get in?
Probably not.
That's awesome.
I would imagine not.
Right.
But you know what? Considering
They had to buy
everything
the
we've
beer.
been through the last couple months in Houston with the
No
hurricane,
kidding.
like this is just such a nice thing.
Gotcha.
Open
All right.
the door.
Meanwhile, 13 minutes after the hour, President Trump demanding an end to the visa lottery that brought the New York City terrorists to the United States. Senator Tom Cotton already introduced legislation to do just that, along with Senator Perdue. He is live next.
And another major blow for Hillary Clinton, the big fall that she just took. That's coming up.
All these lies, they can't blind me. With your love, nobody can drag me down.
President Trump demanding an end to the controversial visa lottery program that brought this terrorist to our country. Our next guest agrees. In fact, he introduced legislation prior to this attack in New York. Senator Tom Cotton served in Iraq and Afghanistan, joins us right now. Senator, now people are finally listening to this, what you've been saying before, and that's to rid us of this act. What can we do? What can the president do now?
Hey, Brian, it's good to be on with you. You're right. This atrocity in New York has brought to most American people's attention. What they probably didn't know is that we have something called the Diversity Immigrant Visa Program. There's not many dumber ways to give out citizenship in this country than to do it at a mere lottery on the basis of some kind of diversity. So my legislation would eliminate the diversity lottery, and it would focus on bringing in high-skilled immigrants that can contribute to our economy and stand on their own 2 feet, pay taxes, and not get welfare. we should move forward promptly with that legislation, especially given the fact that so many of the countries that benefit most from the diversity lottery, our own government says have problems with terrorism.
So I agree. And is that part of comprehensive immigration reform? And if so, can the president do anything at the executive level to act on that now?
Well, Brian, comprehensive immigration reform is often the Washington code for amnesty now and enforcement later, which means amnesty never. So what we should work on is trying to focus on the problems that we have, which is security and enforcement and getting a legal immigration system that works for the American worker.
Right. Let's talk about taxes. They're finally going to unveil the program Ways and Means today in the House. You guys are going to get a shot, and we're going to find out about what your tax reform looks like. In the meantime, you have an idea. The mandates included in Obamacare, put it in the GOP tax reform legislation. Expand on that.
Absolutely, Brian. So the mandate, which forces you to buy insurance no matter what your needs are or what your financial abilities are, is the most unpopular part of Obamacare. 2/3 of all Americans want to see it repealed. Also, budget estimates predict that it would save $300 to $400 billion over the next 10 years. That pays for a lot of tax cuts for working families and for our businesses so they can help create more jobs. Now, I know that this is something of a creative and unorthodox idea that wasn't on the agenda until we started raising it just last week, but $300 billion is a lot of money to pay for tax cuts for our working families and our businesses. Obviously, the president said yesterday on Twitter that he thinks it's a good idea as well, and we're getting momentum in both the House and the Senate as more and more of our colleagues realize that this is actually going to help pass a tax bill, not make a tax bill harder to pass, but make a tax bill easier to pass.
Except for your Democrat who wants to hold on to Obamacare, they'll fight you on that. But Senator, I guess
well, the Democrats want to tell you how to use your money. That's why they don't want to. That's why they don't support tax cuts, and that's why they want the Obamacare mandate in place.
Gotcha. Senator Tom Cotton, always great to hear from you. Thanks so much. We'll see what happens. Coming up
Thanks,
straight
Brian.
ahead. Thank you. Did Twitter lean left during the election? Brand new information this morning. Unbelievable. Plus, he led the most highly decorated special ops unit of the Iraq War. So after what just happened in New York, what does former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink think about our war on terror? He's also got a brand new book out. We'll ask him now.
Time now for your news by the numbers. First, $840,000. That's the street value of all drugs Arizona border agents just seized near the Mexican border in just 3 days. Meth, cocaine, and marijuana hidden inside 3 different cars. 4 people under arrest. Next, 65. That's Hillary Clinton's new ranking on Forbes' list of the world's most powerful women. She was number 2 last year before her historic election loss to President Trump. And finally, 0. No American companies making AirlineRatings.com's top 10 list.
What?
For 2018. Air New Zealand ranks number 1.
Okay. Unfortunately, they don't fly to Kansas City. Meanwhile, President Trump delivering a powerful message following the terror attack in New York City on Tuesday. So why is this so important to remove this ideology?
All right, here to weigh in is former Navy SEAL and former commander of a SEAL team and SEAL Team 3, the most highly decorated special ops unit of the Iraq War. Jocko Willink is with us right now. Jocko, welcome. Congratulations on your brand new book.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
First off, when you see what happened in New York and you hear that he wants an ISIS flag outside his hospital room and calls himself a soldier of the caliphate, what do you think of?
Well, first of all, obviously it sickens my heart to see that kind of thing. And when I hear people about where we're going to send him, should we send him to Gitmo? I say we skip Gitmo and send him straight to hell where he belongs.
But don't you want the most intelligence possible out of him?
Yeah, we can gather as much intelligence possible out of him. We can interrogate him as much as we can, but eventually you're going to hit that brick wall. He's not going to have any more information.
Yeah.
And let's get him out of this planet.
Jocko, when you look at the evidence that was on his phone, all the videos, I mean, very disturbing. 90 videos of him watching horrific murders, what ISIS does to people, running over innocent people with tanks. You were reminded that there is evil in this world. So how do we eliminate evil? How do we eliminate ISIS? What do we do?
Well, first of all, yes, there's evil. And the things that he's watching is the things that those evil subhumans perpetrate on a daily basis. And the way you get rid of people like that is you kill them. You hunt them down and you kill them. That's what we should be doing.
But we want to show, according to some, we want to show that we're different than the terrorists. We'll be like them if we do that. we won't be. We're civilized people with rules and laws. What's your reaction?
Actually, yes, we are different than the terrorists. We don't do things that they do. We don't systematically rape 10-year-old girls like they do. And if that's the way they're going to behave, they don't deserve to live.
What do you make? Okay, so the storyline yesterday was that he became radicalized after he came to the United States through this diversity visa program. And it sounds like it all happened online, you know, through the video, through the propaganda. What do you do going forward as a nation to try to turn it off? Is there anything?
Absolutely. I think you assault those internet spots where this stuff comes into the computers.
You
and
just turn off
shut them
YouTube?
down. This is shut down those videos on YouTube. Absolutely. Oh, does that disrupt your freedom of speech? I actually don't care. We don't need that kind of attitude coming into this country. We don't need it in the world. Shut it down.
We just have the wrong mindset. We don't understand that we're in the middle of a war, do we?
Obviously not.
Yesterday, we had a guest on that said our country dodged a bullet by getting President Trump elected and not having Hillary Clinton in power. And he wants to get rid of this diversity visa program. What are your thoughts on that?
Anybody that would support at this moment in time the diversity visa lottery, you get to come to this country because you won a lottery, and then you get to bring in, 20, 25 family members, alleged family members. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous.
I sense you're seething about this, but I do want to get to your book, Discipline Equals Freedom, a field manual. We know how popular a podcast is. This builds off that, doesn't it?
It does. That's where the idea from the book came from, is the people asking me questions from the podcast and trying to get all those questions about the way I live into one sort of concise manual that people could follow if they want to.
Because people want discipline in their life, don't they? They just don't know it in many cases.
Well, yeah, people actually want freedom, but what they don't realize is that if you want freedom, in order to get there, you got to have discipline. And it's the same thing with our country. If we want to have freedom in this country, but that means we have to have discipline in the way that we allow people into our country, and we have to have discipline in the way we protect our country.
Did the military teach you that, the discipline?
Absolutely. The military had obviously a big role in my life. I was in the SEAL teams for 20 years, and you learn that if you want to be effective as a leader and as a person, you have to have discipline.
So, an interesting scenario. I read one of these pages in your book. You say, if you want, you can't do everything you can accomplish in life. You want to be the fastest person in the world. You want to be the best marathoner in the world. For certain people, that's not going to happen. Does that mean we don't do it?
No, absolutely. And I'm a perfect example of that. I was never the best athlete. I wasn't the smartest guy, but I was a hard worker. And just because I'm not going to be the best doesn't mean I'm not going to try my hardest.
So how do we approach something in life like that? I mean, aren't we supposed to be the best at everything we do? What is your philosophy on things you approach?
Of course, you're going to try and be the best, but you're not going to be the best. I can tell right now you have zero potential as an NBA basketball player. Zero. So does that mean you don't get to play it? No. Go out. If that's what you like to do, go out and do the best you can.
What do I learn from that? When I don't achieve my goal, get to the NBA, what do I learn when I don't get there?
Well, exactly. That's what you learn. You learn that persistence, perseverance, and you still take away a lot from trying to do something, and you can apply that to everything in life.
So a lot of people don't try because they don't think they can succeed.
Yeah, and if you're not going to succeed, what are you going to do? Sit on the couch and eat Doritos?
What's your message for the parents that are watching that are too afraid to discipline their kids? We've become such a soft country.
Well, one thing I say about raising kids is, and it's a little bit controversial, but I say if you're helping your kids, you're hurting your kids. So everything that you do for your kids, if you just do everything for them, they're actually not going to grow. They're not going to learn. I mean, a classic example is tying their shoes. When you tie your kids' shoes for them, you actually take away a developmental moment where they're going to improve their fine motor skills. And the more you do it for them, the less coordinated they're going to be. And that's just one example in everything you do with your kids.
So I should not tie my daughter's shoes. No. She is one.
Teach them.
Maybe at one, give her the Velcro shoes.
She has them.
Hold on. All right.
The new a lot of kids tripping and falling on their heads. Get your kid a helmet until he ties his shoe.
Thanks, Jocko. Thank you for serving.
Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations. Here's the book. We've got it right here on the table. If you're interested in it, you can get it on. Do you have a website?
Yeah, JockoPodcast.com.
Okay.
Right. There it
Great
is.
Podcast every day.
There you go. It's my Black Ops.
All right. Thank you, Jocko. President Trump says he'll consider sending the New York City terror suspect to Gitmo. Should that happen, Ken Starr says no. He'll explain the no coming up next.
Plus, did Twitter lean left during the election? The brand new information this morning that will really anger you. I don't care if you're right or left.
Judge Ken Starr, former U.S. Solicitor General, former independent counsel in the Lewinsky and Whitewater investigations. He joins us today from our nation's capital. Good morning, Judge.
Hey, good morning.
So what did you think of the President of the United States yesterday saying he was open to sending this New York terrorist to Gitmo and called him an animal?
Nothing wrong with considering all options. That's what the president should do. But it is a non-starter. And the reason is Gitmo was designed for enemy combatants taken into custody by our military in the overseas theater of battle. This horrible human being was committing crimes in the United States. He was lawfully in the United States. Should he have been here? Obviously, very bad judgments being made along the way, except he seems to have been radicalized entirely here. So in any event, it's a U.S. crime by someone who is lawfully here. Therefore, it's the U.S. justice system.
But it's an international conspiracy possible. Why shouldn't he be labeled an enemy combatant, considering it's his doctrine and his declaration that says he's at war with us, and we know Al-Qaeda and ISIS is saying the same thing?
Absolutely, but he made it into the United States, and once he makes it into the United States, it's a new game.
Mm-hmm. The Germans, didn't 2 Germans come here through Long Island in World War II? Isn't that the precedence for this case?
Yeah, but they were here in the United States, and so yes, if you're saying should there in fact, but you're saying should he be sent to Gitmo, he doesn't need to be sent to Gitmo. That is a very interesting question, is whether he should now be considered an enemy combatant. But remember, those characters from long ago were actually in uniform. They left their uniforms and so forth. They were in active military service of a foreign power. This is a very different situation.
Okay. We just had Jocko on, former Navy SEAL, and he said we just need to combat the enemy by killing them all. The president said give this guy the death penalty. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's an entirely appropriate case for the death penalty. I mean, that's Congress of the United States and every president of the United States has supported the death penalty. And I have great respect for those who are abolitionists, no death penalty under any circumstances. Right. Some of our states have gone in that direction. That's fine. Sure. But the federal government says for very serious crimes, and this is clearly one of them, that the death penalty is appropriate. And I think for the President of the United States to say that it's appropriate to seek the death penalty in this circumstance is entirely appropriate.
You know something about independent counsels. You were one for the federal government a couple of times. What do you make of what's going on right now with the Robert Mueller investigation? You know, it was announced there were a couple of indictments, some charges. Also, surprisingly, apparently somebody already pled guilty, and that was a big secret until Mueller Monday.
Yes, I think for one thing it shows, hey, don't lie to the FBI. That I've read the entire indictment, and it was just stupid. The guy takes his Facebook. These are all things that he has pled to. These aren't just allegations. George Papadopoulos. And so this is just absolutely stunningly stupid. He's a fairly young guy, and he did not have power, but he was officially a foreign policy advisor during the campaign. He should just tell the truth. And not surprisingly, the FBI caught him. I've worked with the FBI for years. They are very good. Don't lie to them. And it's very clear that they told him, you know, this would be a crime if you lie to us. And of course, he had emails and all the rest of it that proved
well,
his
we know
guilt.
he shouldn't lie, but Ken, in the big picture, where's this whole thing going? You see him, these 2 guys got indicted for stuff they did prior to the campaign. What is Mueller up to?
It's going to Russia. Look, he is charged with finding out about collusion. And what we're now seeing is that, well, there may be some real issues with respect to the Clinton campaign, right? With this enormously important revelation by the news media. The news media found this out with respect to the Podesta Group, the law firm, the possible laundering of money to pay Fusion. This is an extraordinary turn of events, and so I think it was Leon Panetta, a very distinguished former official in the Democratic administration, saying he would look to Democrats being indicted. We need to clean this act up, don't we? We need to stop having this kind of foreign governmental kind of interference with our campaigns.
And Ken, do you trust Robert Mueller?
I do. I do. I've worked with him. I think he's honorable. I think we've got to watch him because I understand the concerns about campaign contributions by some of the senior people on the staff. I don't like that. I think that's bad. It puts an extra burden, I think, on Bob Mueller. But Bob Mueller is an honorable, honest guy. He's Marine, Semper Fi. He's seen combat. He's an American. He's a good guy.
All those things are true, but if he does not go after the Fusion GPS, he's not doing a fair and balanced investigation.
He'll go where the facts lead. That I'm confident.
If he doesn't go there, then he's not doing a fair and balanced investigation.
From what we know, especially when there's an invocation of the Fifth Amendment, which you're entitled to do as an American citizen, one of the great rights that we have. But you bet, if someone's trying to hide the ball, we need to know the facts. And so here is an organization that's saying, well, we're just not going to cooperate because what?
Exactly.
It may tend to incriminate us. That tells you that there is something there, or likely something there.
Well, we're glad you didn't take the fifth and you answered all our questions today. Thank you, Ken Starr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, let's hand it over to Jillian, who has some headlines for us. Jillian?
That's right. Good Thursday morning to you guys, to you at home as well. Let's begin with this headline. A shocking admission from Twitter.
Thank you.
The social media site buried tweets relating to the DNC email hack. In written testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee, Twitter's general counsel, Sean Eggett, says, quote, our systems detected and hid just under half, 48%, of the tweets relating to variants of another notable hashtag, hashtag DNC leak. Now, he says just 2% of the DNC leak hashtags came from potentially Russian-linked accounts, and the tweets were hidden to fight spam at the end of the 2016 campaign. The CIA releasing nearly 500,000 more documents, providing an inside look into slain terror leader Osama bin Laden's life. Among those files, the first video of his adult son and potential successor. Now, we're also learning he watched movies based on his life, as well as clips on 9/11 conspiracy theories. But that's not all. Bin Laden had several kids' films, like Cars and Chicken Little, on his computer. In addition to that, he watched the viral YouTube clip Charlie Bit My Finger and several crocheting tutorials. An Air Force soldier running down bleachers at a University of Iowa football game, surprising his girlfriend, a member of the band, after coming home from training. But that's not the only surprise he had up his sleeves. Look at that. He popped the question. And of course, she said yes. The couple met at the University of Iowa. They were both in the band. Gotta love when you see stories like that. Come home surprise. Hey, I have another surprise.
2 engagements at sporting events.
I know.
Great.
Best wishes to him.
Thank you. All right, 18 minutes before the top of the hour. Janice Dean is out on the street where, Janice, it is a pretty nice day today.
It is a nice day, Steve. I will say that much of the East Coast has warmer than average temperatures. We'll take it, especially if you don't like winter. Let's take a look at the maps. I do have the potential for showers and thunderstorms just west of the New York City area. So there are your temps, a little warmer than average, and that's going to be the case not only today but tomorrow. Ahead of this cold front, we do have some showers across the interior Northeast and some snow over the upper Midwest, and then the big storm system behind that in the Northwest, bringing the first snowstorm of the season for the Sierra in California. All right, and don't forget, it's fall back this weekend, so
Great.
turn your clocks back, except if you live in Arizona.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that
forward,
this year.
Fall back.
Fall back.
Yeah, I am refusing to participate.
Great.
Not doing it.
Wait, we gain an hour.
Right.
We gain an hour this
Not
time.
doing
Fall
it.
back.
It's 17 minutes before the top of the hour.
Coming up on this Thursday, what do voters in Indiana think about President Trump's new push for extreme vetting? We're going to check back with Todd. He's live with the family there at that restaurant in Indiana.
And Obamacare open enrollment has officially kicked off. Fox Business's own Jerry Willis is helping you navigate the good, the bad, and a little bit of the ugly.
How are you?
Hey, Jerry. Hi.